Just are very busy here in Kansas with all the snow, but and snow and ice. But he did fracture his ankle in multiple places and is having a surgery today, I believe. So please say a prayer for Troy and his doctors that they can get it set just right, and we'll see him very, very soon. So what I've done is I've found a really silly, stupid card, and I'd love for you all to sign it. So I'm going to pass it around, and when it gets back up here to our ranking member Ballard, then if we'll give it to Jeffrey, and Jeffrey will get it to Troy, our chairman Waymaster. All right, so welcome to everyone. A special welcome to my temporary vice chair here, Representative Kyle Hoffman, and of course, our new ranking member, Barbara Ballard. So welcome. All right, and we're going to take a moment to introduce our staff. So we'll start with our office assistants, Laverne. She's not here with us, but Laverne Engelhart is in the office if you need to see the chairman. Committee assistant, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Susan McClarity, and I've been the committee assistant for 3 years now. This is my third year.
All right, and we also have our Chief of Staff, Jeffrey House. If you have any technical or tough questions, go see Jeffrey. All right, and now we'd like to introduce our members. Just, we're gonna move to the left. Just say your name, what city you live in, and how long you have been a member of Appropriations.
Kyle Hoffman from Coldwater, Kansas. I've been a member since 2013.
Sean Tarwater, Stillwell, Kansas. This will be my 9th year.
Pam Curtis, Kansas City, Kansas, and this will be my 3rd year.
Ken Rogers, I live in the country. I've been on appropriations whenever we had the big surplus. That's all I know. What, 4 years? This is my 5th year, I think, after my sentence was terminated from tax.
John Alcala, Topeka, Kansas. I've been on here since 2012.
Barb Wassinger, first year on appropriations. I'm from Hayes.
Avery Anderson, 3rd year on appropriations from Newton.
Joella Hoy, Lenexa, Kansas. I'm a new member, and also please welcome my intern, Maya Torres, a junior at KU. I'm gonna wait.
Representative Wassinger.
I would also, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like also to introduce my intern, Samuel Day. What's your last name? Today's his first day. Okay. So, thank you.
Wonderful. All right, moving on to the other side.
Hi, good morning. My name is Stephen Howe. I'm from Salina, Kansas, and I serve as chair of higher education budget.
I'm Mike Amix. I'm from Lawrence, and this is my first meeting on appropriations.
Susan Estes from Wichita, and this will be my 5th session on appropriations, and I feel like I was a freshman yesterday. I don't know how that happened.
Good morning. I, too, live in the country. My address is Wheaton, Kansas. Like maybe 80 people live there. And this is my very first day in appropriations.
Jason Getz from Dodge City, and today is my first day as well.
Jared Owsley from Merriam, Kansas. This will be my 3rd year on approps.
Will Carpenter, District 75, Butler County. This is my first day.
My name is Adam Turk. I'm from the great city of Shawnee, and this is my 3rd tour of duty.
I think I'll try that. This is my first day, too. I am Barbara Ballard. I'm from District 44 in Lawrence, and actually I've been on appropriations over 20 years.
I just love that. This is first time for me to be the vice chair, and it's my 9th year on appropriations. So welcome to all committee members, and I really look forward to moving over here to my left in a day or so when our chairman is back with us. Next, we'd like to introduce our KLRD staff, so I'm going to let them do that and go around the table.
I'm Dylan Deere. I'm the Assistant Director for Fiscal Affairs. I think most of you have met me at one point or another. But I only have the legislative budget, so I have really light load. That's nice. But I will pass it along.
Hi, my name is Nicole Ringer, and I have the Department of Corrections, the Sentencing Commission, and the Kansas Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training.
Good morning, committee. My name is Stephen Wu, Managing Fiscal Analyst with Legislative Research. Both Megan and I serve in this capacity together. We'll primarily see me when Dylan's not available. Otherwise, I'll be here as my subject area comes before this committee. In general, I have put the budgets for the Department of Administration, Capers, and Labor.
Megan Leopold, Managing Fiscal Analyst. My budgets are KDHE Health, the boards of Pharmacy, Nursing, Healing Arts, and the EMS board.
Good morning, committee. I am Amanda Prosser. This is my third legislative session. This will be my second session here in HAP, so you'll see me every day. The budgets that I'll be presenting will be DCF, Schools for the Blind and Deaf, along with a couple of fee boards. And then in the audience, we have...
Good morning. My name is Sharday Kane. This is my 5th legislative session, and I am a senior analyst. My agencies are the Board of Accountancy, the Board of Tax Appeals, the Pooled Money Investment Board, the Office of State Treasurer, the Kansas Department of Revenue, and the Kansas Department of Commerce. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dayton Lemunion. I'm a senior analyst. This is my 5th or 4th session, and I have the budgets for KDADs and the state hospitals, and I staff social services budget. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kyle Anderson. I'm a new fiscal analyst this year, and I cover the KBI, Highway Patrol, DOT, Adjutant General, and State Fire Marshal.
Good morning, committee. My name is James Fisher. I'm KLRD's IT manager. This is my 9th session, the 4th session with a budget. You'll only see me for the Office of Information Technology Services. I also staff other policy committees such as legislative modernization.
Good morning, committee. My name is Brianna Horton. This is my 3rd legislative session. The budgets I have are the Kansas Board of Regents and all the universities, and I also facilitate the joint building for state construction.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Light. It's my 3rd year as a fiscal analyst. I have the Kansas State Department of Education, the State Historical Society, and the State Library.
Hi, members of the committee. My name is Molly Pratt. This is my 3rd session. I am the analyst assigned to review the budgets of the Office of Administrative Hearings, Board of Indigent Defense Services, Judicial Council, Kansas Lottery, Kansas Racing and Gaming Commission, the Judicial Branch, and the Kansas Office of Veteran Services. I'm also the coordinator for the Expanded Lottery Act Revenues Fund and the facilitator for the House Committee on General Government Budget and the Joint Committee on Special Claims Against the State.
Good morning. My name is Ariana Waddell, and this is my 2nd legislative session. And I'm assigned to the Office of the Attorney General, the Office of the State Bank Commissioner, the Kansas Department of Credit Unions, the Governmental Ethics Commission, the Kansas Insurance Department, and the Office of the Secretary of State.
Good morning. My name is Jacob Klesby. I'm a legislative fellow with KLRD, and I am assigned to analyze the budgets of the Board of Cosmetology, Human Rights Commission, Real Estate Commission, Real Estate Appraisal Board, and Board of Technical Professions. Thanks.
Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Julia Kofoid. I am also a legislative fellow. This is my first session, and I am the analyst for the Abstractors Board of Examiners, the Board of Barbering, the Dental Board, the Hearing Aid Board of Examiners, and the Kansas Guardianship Program.
All right, thank you. And Shirley, did you want to say hello? Okay.
Good morning, members. I don't have any budgets for the first time in 15 years. But I'm now this will be my first full session as director of KLRD. So welcome, and if you have any problems whatsoever, come see me.
All right, thank you from the KLRD staff. And before we go to our revisers, real quick, thank you for joining us, Representative Francis. Would you introduce yourself and how many years you have been on appropriations?
Who else?
You first.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the latecomers. It's transportation. The roads we're struggling. Anyway, my name's Shannon Francis. I'm beginning my 11th year in the legislature, and one of my classmates was Chairman Williams. You know, there's not too many of us left, are there? I'm from Liberal, Kansas, the 125th district, the home of Dorothy's House, Pancake Day, the Liberal BJs. So I hope to see all of you in my part of the world sometime.
Okay, great. Representative Anderson. We're great then. All right, moving to our revisers.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. My name is Jill Walters. I am a first assistant reviser. I've been on appropriations for a long time. Before that, I was on a lot of other committees. And I've been here longer than some of you have been alive. This is my 40th session. No. Yeah. And they said it wouldn't mind. I just want to remind you that the revisers are here for you to do your bill drafting, your proviso requests, and legal questions you have. So we are available to you, and just please reach out to us and let us know how we can help you in any way we can. Thank you.
Morning, I'm Chris Wagner, Assistant Revisor for the Office of Revisor of Statutes, my 9th session and second session on House Appropriations.
All right, and last but not least, we have someone there in the corner that is making all of our technology possible. If you'll please introduce yourself.
Good morning, committee. My name is Max Adams. I'm with the Broadcasting Department. It's nice to meet all of you. This is my very first session.
All right, welcome. All right, committee, before we get started on a few items on our agenda, and we promise to have you out in short order, I would like to offer an opportunity for Representative Ballard to provide a welcome since she is now in a different position this year.
But I guess I must get closer to it. Thank you so very much. I have been on appropriations a long time, and I love appropriations. My husband does a lot with money, and my dad was an accountant, and he said that, you know, if you manage your money right, life is right. And maybe, I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean, for him, it worked out pretty well. But one of the things about appropriations is that we may fight, we have our own debates and everything else, but at the end, we have to come together because we have to get the budget together. And I mean, that shows the cooperation. And it's the first time I've been on appropriations where Brenda Landwehr has not been on it. So I just have to mention that this morning because we've been through it all. It's a tremendous loss for me from a friendship, but also in terms of social services and mental health services and all the things that we do. But I have other people that have filled in ably and helped a lot. But we have a lot of fun, and maybe it's frustrating at times, but you know what? We signed up for it, and I think all of us should feel very fortunate that our constituents believed in us enough to send us here to do this. And we have to do the best job we possibly can. And we can't always satisfy everyone else, but we certainly can try. So thank you for the opportunity. And I'm looking forward to be the ranking on this and working with everyone else. So if I can help, since I've been here a while, I've seen it. But every session is different. And I think you would agree yourself, whether it's your second or your third, they're all different. So thank you much.
You are welcome, and I second your comments, and it's an honor to serve with you. So, all right, we look forward to a great session. Committee, please note that you have committee rules in front of you, but don't get too attached to those committee rules. It looks like the revisions are forthcoming, and so we'll pass those out when they are prepared and ready for you. But until then, there are some rules you can peruse, and they will be our temporary rules. Next on our agenda, we have Dylan Deere. He's going to provide an overview of our modified budget process.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Mostly, I just wanted to sort of answer questions. I think most people are familiar with the fact that you're going to start hearing budgets about 3 weeks sooner than you have heard them in the past. And so normally we begin actually having budget hearings in late January to the beginning of February. So I know that many budget hearings have already been scheduled for hearing. There was a decision made by leadership during the interim to convene an interim committee. And that interim committee developed a recommendation based on the agency request. That agency request was then further modified by the interim LBC committee, special LBC committee. There were some modifications made to it, basically to remove enhancement requests and also make some adjustments to salaries and wages, removing the majority of the salary adjustments that were present inside of those budgets, and also making some adjustments to economic development initiatives funds, okay, and removing some state general fund reappropriations to create a starting point for deliberation upon the budget. I believe Jill and her team, in collaboration with the KLRD fiscal team, have already introduced a bill based upon that position. So that can be your starting point for deliberation, and we have prepared budget summary documentation that describes that position, which we are distributing currently. Our objective is to have all of those budget summaries ready for you by Tuesday. So of course next Monday is a holiday. And so our objective is to have all of that documentation ready for you on Tuesday so you can begin your hearings. Steve is going to talk a little bit about some changes we've made to the budget summary. Just because of this expedited process, we've had to sort of pare down the large budget analysis, and we try to get it back to just those items that we have heard that you really need. There's also going to be some slight modifications to the subcommittee report based upon requests from the various members that we've been speaking with, but we'll talk about that on a different day. But rest assured, if you're a chair and you're having to present them, you will still have a paragraph to read. We will be able to prep that for you, so that won't be changing at all. With that, I would sort of stand for questions on the revised budget summary process.
All right, are there any questions for Dylan? Questions. I know they will be coming soon, but thank you very much. Next, we have Stephen Wu. Yes, and Stephen, before you move forward.
I was just going to tell everybody that the budget bill is House Bill number 2007. And so you might have seen it in your packets already, but if you're looking for it online, it's 2007. Thank you.
Thank you, Jill. And go ahead and proceed. Thank you, Stephen.
Good morning, committee. I'm just going to talk very briefly about our budget summary document and what changes there are relative to last year's publication. True to the name, this is more of a summary document than the level of detail that we provided for in the past. So there are a small handful of changes, what you will and won't see in this document. So compared with last year's document, what you will not see is information related to the governor's budget request. This is to adapt to the new legislative budget process that the legislature started over the interim. So what you will see is our recommendations based on that special committee on legislative budgets actions over the interim. We'll include those in place of where you would normally otherwise see the governor's budget recommendation. What you also will not see in this document is program level detail. That is usually some more in-depth information on each agency's budget by program on what those expenditures are, what that funding is. We still have that information available, but due to the time constraints to adapt to the legislative budget process, we neglected to include it in, we did not include it in this publication. So what is included in this publication is some high-level information on what is included in the agency's budget, as well as the major areas that they're spending that money on. So we have it divided by categories of expenditure, so everything from salaries and wages to contractual services, and we have identified it by major project or item. So if an agency is undertaking a new initiative, we have information on that in here, and we have those numbers tracked from the agency's budget request compared against what this body, what the legislative body last year approved, compared with what the Special Committee on Legislative Budget recommended over the interim. I know that's a lot of information up front. You don't have these in front of you, the full document in front of you yet, but as you do, feel free to reach out to our office for any questions on them.
All right, any questions for Stephen? All right, thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you for making so many adjustments as we, work towards documents that we can understand. Okay, committee. One other announcement is to remind everybody that the HAP and SWAM committees will meet tomorrow in the old Supreme Court room at 10 a.m. to hear the governor's budget, and that will be delivered by Adam Proffitt, the Director of Budget and Administration. So do not forget that change of time. 7.5%. Okay, and one more note here. Thank you, Jeffrey. Make notice that the 7.5% budget spending reduction package will be sent out to agencies. And I'm going to ask Dylan to explain. Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. There's going to be direct information coming to each one of the budget committees and each one of the budget committee chairs, but at the request of Chairman Waymaster, agencies this year will be requested to provide for fiscal year 2026 a 7.5% reduced resource proposal. This is a common tool for reducing budgets that has been used by the governor, where she'll ask for a series of options. If you were to choose to enact each one of those provisions, those are decisions that you can make at the budget committee level. There are several exceptions to that reduced resource proposal. All right. One item that is being excluded is K-12 aid to locals. So that the amount coming from K-12 that goes out to the school districts, so that doesn't cover the entire K-12 budget, but just covers that portion that's distributed to the school districts. Caseloads is also accepted because that is entitlement spending. The other item that's excluded is enhancements. So it just sort of shrinks that if you were to include enhancements, and I would once again remind you that the legislative budget, special LBC over the interim, took those enhancements out of those agency budgets. It would effectively artificially inflate the size of that 7.5% reduction. So by taking those enhancements out, you reduce the size of those total costs. And then debt service is the final item that's excluded because, of course, that's a contractually required expenditure. Those are the recommended. We will have specific language at the request of Chair Waymaster after this. After this meeting, our legislative fiscal staff will go ahead and distribute that request to the various agencies in order to be able for them to bring those proposals to you when you hear the budgets. And additionally, we are doing a calculation so you know what that number is. So we're doing the last bits of that calculation right now, but just so that you have an idea of what the amount of that reduction will be.
All right, committee, any questions for Dylan? Representative Rajas and then Representative Francis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So does that mean after the enhancements are taken out, they're going to be asked to take another 7.5% cut from the base? Is that correct? Is that the way I understand it?
That's correct. It basically brings it back to the base and then comes with a series of proposals. Okay, that they would, if they were to take a 7.5% reduction, where those reductions would be taken.
Okay, so again, I want something different, so I want to make sure I fully understand. The budget that we, as the House, have created is the baseline in every enhancement, all except those exceptions, correct? And then, so from there, the directive's coming out to cut by 7.5% and then giving the agencies the option of where to reduce that 7.5%. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's similar. I mean, I'm really careful with language. So when we say like this is the base budget or this is the baseline, there's a bunch of different ways to interpret what a base budget is. This is the budget with all enhancements and supplementals removed. It also takes out like reappropriations. It also makes major adjustments to EDIF expenditures. So I would be hesitant to describe what you're receiving in HB 2007 as the base budget, but it is the recommendation coming from the enhanced LBC. And once again, these are just a series of proposals. If you were to take a 7.5% reduction, these are the areas, and then the budget committees can evaluate those as far as implementation is concerned.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Representative Francis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the 7.5% comes off of all revenues. I mean, like fees are not excluded, dedicated sources of funding are, yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, Madam Chair, thank you very much. I appreciate that. This is state general fund only. So for any of your special revenue funded agencies or highway fund, those are not included in these reductions. It is a state general fund reduction only.
All right, thank you.
I was thinking abstractors.
Yes, the $30,000.
Good question. Representative Wassinger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can you give us a number of all SGF funds and also all funds budget so we know what the difference is, the amounts we have?
Right. So, I mean, do you just want me to mention what's the total SGF and what's the total all funds budget? So, you know,
Yes.
The FY26 request is around $12 billion. The FY26 all funds budget is around $24 billion. Okay. So it's roughly twice it. And that's excluding, of course, all of the off-budget spending because it's included in other portions of the budget. But like I said, last night what we did is we took those 7.5% calculations and we were able to back out all of those exceptions except for the enhancements, which we're doing right now. And then once again, we'll give that to each one of the Budget Committee chairs so that you'll have that in hand as you go into the process.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, next we have Representative Owsley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Dylan. Can you go over the school portion again?
Certainly. So obviously the spending in the Department of Education is not just the amount that goes out to the school districts, it's also the portion to operate the Department of Education. And so the SGF spending for operational costs inside the Department of Education would be included as part of the 7.5% reduced resource proposal, but the portion of the Department of Education that goes out to the school districts, so there's those distributions, aid to locals, other assistance, that is excluded from the calculation. It's roughly $5 billion.
Basically
spending.
the state finance formula.
Correct.
So, Madam Chair, so we're still funding the finance formula, we're just cutting operations cost or asking for a reduction of operations costs?
That is correct. So the school finance formula is untouched, okay? And the only part is the operational costs inside there. And I would once again note, this is not like a straight cut, it's just a series of options that are being provided to you so that you can help evaluate where you want to put the budgets.
Okay, and Madam Chair, thank you. Thank you for entertaining me. So where did the 20 mils come into play there?
So it would not be affected by
Okay,
this.
okay. All right, thank you.
Essentially, it's an opportunity for any agency or any department to set their priorities and say, here are some things that if we needed to make reductions, this is where we would like to see those reductions. I'd also note that for education, and correct me if I'm wrong, it could also include anything above or outside that state finance formula. Would that be correct?
I would hesitate to just to say that. I can tell you that when I ran the calculations, and the specific language that was included is if you have spending that's included as aid to locals or other assistance, in other words, it goes out of the Department of Education into the school districts, it is currently excluded from this calculation. So that means if there are portions of spending, okay, that are not part of the school finance formula but do go out to the school districts, they are still excluded from this calculation.
Yes, I think that makes sense. And what I probably should have rephrased is anything that is outside the school finance formula formula, there's no requirement for any reporting for reductions. However, it is always up to the committee and appropriation and the legislative process to eliminate, increase, decrease anything outside that school finance formula. So, but there's no required 7.5. I think maybe I clarified that a little bit because I was badly. Okay, perfect. All right, other questions? We have Representative Francis for a second.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chair. So how's something like the Highway Patrol handled where technically it doesn't come from the State General Fund, but it is a transfer from
It's from the State Highway Fund. So,
yeah, so would they
since
be
State
asked for
Highway Fund
7.5?
spending, it would still be excluded because this is State General Fund only.
Okay.
So it has no impact on the State General Fund even as a transfer.
Okay.
And also just a note, Representative Bueller is online, so if you have any questions, just put your little IT hand up. Representative Howell. And Representatives Apex. No? Okay. And Representative Ballard.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you very much for the explanation. This is very different. And the way you explain it, you know, I'm actually uneasy with it in many ways. But just because it's new is not the issue. The issue is I'm wondering what happens with money that might have carried over that we said people could have before and everything else. How do we handle that? Because obligations have been made according to some of those as well.
Madam Chair, so if you're talking about SGF reappropriations, so monies that carried over, those would not be impacted by this because this is FY 2026 only. So it does not affect the current fiscal year budget. And I understand this is not my recommendation. I'm just carrying forward what I've been instructed. As far as monies that have already been committed, particularly capital improvement projects and spending, that is an excellent question. I mean, I think there's going to have to be some conversations in budget committees about that issue. If there's a large capital improvement like spend in FY 2026 that is already part of the budget and that's sort of fixed, that definitely will substantially limit that agency's ability to make that 7.5% reduction. But those are all, that's why this is all just sort of. So I would note that while it is relatively new for the legislature to request a reduced resource proposal, it has been a common tool used by the governor for a number of years when seeking proposals to reduce budgets.
Okay. Thank you very much for your explanation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, committee, if there are no further questions, and just a little quick update, Representative Waymaster will have his surgery this afternoon and will be home tonight. So if you want to send any well wishes, feel free to do that. We'll make sure and get the card to him. Thank you, Jeffrey, for taking it to our chairman. And staff, if you'll also sign that card, that'd be great, and give it back to Jeffrey, that would be perfect. All right, if there are no other items for today, not seeing any, then we are adjourned.